This is the Farm Monitor. For over 50 years, your source for agribusiness news and features from around the Southeast and across the country, focusing on one of the nation's top industries, agriculture. The Farm Monitor is produced by one of the largest general farm organizations, the Georgia Farm Bureau. Now here are your hosts, Ray DeLessio and Kenny Burgamy.
Well, as you can see, it's beginning to look a lot like Christmas. Yes, both here in the studio and probably around your home as well. Thanks so much for tuning into the show. I am Ray DeLessio.
And I'm Kenny Burgamy. This week, we're highlighting the 2020 Georgia Farm Bureau Young Farmer and Rancher Award winners. For instance, Emily and Jacob Nolan, their involvement with Farm Bureau, and how their work with local school children earned them the Achievement Award. Also, a conversation with Excellence in Ag winner Melissa Mathis. Like the Nolans, her involvement with Farm Bureau is extensive, all while operating 3 farm and feed stores.
However, this show not entirely about the competition winners. We're also going to hear from UGA's new Dean of Ag and Environmental Sciences, Dr. Nick Place. What he says needs to happen in order for the program to move to the next level. These stories and so much more start right now on the Farm Monitor.
As we all know, there is much more to the ag industry than what you see in the fields or behind the fence rows. That's why Georgia Farm Bureau established the Excellence in Ag Award. This year's recipient, Melissa Mathis of Monroe County.
With the average age of farmers creeping closer to 60, it's more vital than ever to highlight all the important work being done by young farmers both on and away from the field. And there is plenty of that being done here in Monroe County by Melissa Mathis, who runs a successful feed business as well as tending to more than 25 head of cattle on her family farm.
On this land right here, we raise Black Angus beef cattle that are marketed to European countries generally. So we do a lot of exports to Germany, and it's through our Georgia, Iowa farm to table marketing program that we have with local producers here in Georgia.
Because of this, Mathis was named the 2020 Excellence in Ag winner, which recognizes ag professionals whose main income is not through production agriculture for their advocacy efforts and Farm Bureau involvement. And while this award is validating, she says it's what it symbolizes that's most important.
Oh, it's really a confirmation of that you're doing good work, and an affirmation, I guess, even so, of you're having results, you're making an impact, and that's the biggest thing. Winning the award is just a side note to knowing that you're doing good work and that you're sharing the good things we're doing in agriculture.
And that work holds additional meaning for Mathis, whose passion for agriculture started from an early age and eventually led her back to the farm.
Well, I grew up on the farm, so I'm a 5th generation cattle producer, and so it's just been a way of life. We have a hay operation that helps supplement our feeding needs that we have, so it's just been a natural progression to come back to agriculture. With our stores that we have 3 farm supply stores, so it just was a natural progression of growing up here and coming back after college.
It's a lifestyle that she wouldn't have any other way, as her family is now tied not just to the land, but the community as well.
I really feel like I found my stride here on the farm and what's made me happy. And raising my own family, it's the culture, it's a way of life. It's not just where we live. It's not just a place. It's a sense of home that we create and a life that we create for my children and with my husband.
And this truly is the definition of a family farm, as everyone works together to help run 2 successful operations.
For us, just maximizing that time so it becomes a family thing on the farm. So the kids are here when we're doing our work. I'm here maybe doing something where my husband Bobby is doing another, and even my parents, they'll be doing something else. So we're all have our part that we play on the farm and to create the life that we want.
As for any kind of secret to success, Mathis believes there really is no shortcut.
It's just hard work. Really just putting your feet to the ground and going and doing what's got to be done. I feel like that's one of the things you learn out here, being young and growing up on the farm. You just do the work to make it successful.
Reporting from Monroe County, I'm Damon Jones for the Farm Monitor.
Well, similar to the Excellence in Ag Award, every year Georgia Farm Bureau recognizes YF&R members for their farming operations and leadership activities with the Achievement Award. This year, that award went to Jacob and Emily Nolan of Wayne County. John Holcomb has their story.
Meet Emily and Jacob Nolan. young farmers and ranchers down in Wayne County that own and operate a very diversified family farm called Spring Fever Farms. If you spend any time with them, one of the first things you'll notice pretty quickly is that they live and breathe agriculture and are bringing their kids up the same way.
Been farming since 2008. We were row crop, primarily started out as row crop. Cotton was the first year, and then we migrated into peanuts and started adding corn and wheat. Now we're up to about 2,000 acres total row crop. Got about 180 head of cattle, 15 acres of satsumas, and about a half acre of strawberries.
They've been involved with Georgia Farm Bureau for more than a decade now, and since starting, have become very active members.
We got involved with the Farmers and Ranchers program in 2008. Our office manager and our field rep were very encouraging when we joined Farm Bureau, and they had some ideas that they wanted us to implement, so we got on board and ran with it. In 2012, we made the decision to host a local school for a farm tour to show them agriculture, you know, cows, goats. We had animals, we had a hayride. We've since expanded to include all 5 elementary schools in our county, the 3rd grade. So we have about 400 students come out and just enjoy the day on the farm, and they learn so much. I mean, when you ask them, how many of you have been to a farm? Maybe 2 or 3 out of a class of 30 raise their hand. And here in South Georgia, you think everybody's been to a farm, but that's not the case. And we just want to educate those students and let them know that their food does not come from the grocery store, that there's a farmer behind that.
This year they took it one step farther and decided to enter into the YF&R competitive events and go for the Achievement Award.
When we joined Farm Bureau, we saw every year the top 3, you know, and it was very anticipated every year who was going to win. They made such a big deal about it that it was exciting to watch, and it was just something that we decided to do to throw our name in the hat.
After deciding to enter into the competition, they ended up going all the way and winning.
Winning the Achievement Award has been very humbling and very exciting as well. We got some great prizes that we're excited to start using on the farm. But the humbling part is seeing the other farmers and ranchers that work so hard across the state, and just being in the top few with them was a humbling experience.
That's especially true for them, given the fact that agriculture is their whole life.
Agriculture is really all I've ever known. I very much enjoy watching seed grow up into plants that you can harvest, and the cattle, the baby cows, grow up into the full-grown cattle. And you reap what you sow 90% of the time in farming. If you don't put the effort in, you don't get anything back out of it, and you know it's a fruit of your labor. So agriculture is more of a passion than anything.
Reporting in Wayne County for the Farm Monitor, I'm John Holcomb.
Well, still to come, our profile of the 2020 discussion meet winner, Ashley Yopp. But first, my one-on-one conversation with her new boss, Dr. Nick Place. His thoughts on being named Dean of UGA'S College of Ag and Environmental Sciences and what he calls his vision for the future.
Robert C. Kemmerite is a professor and extension specialist in the Department of Plant Pathology at the University of Georgia Tifton campus. He joined the faculty in 2000 on a 100% extension appointment to study disease and nematode management in cotton, peanuts, corn, soybeans, and sugarcane. Kemmerite's work focuses on developing disease and nematode management strategies that integrate host resistance, cultural practices, and the use of fungicides and nematicides to protect agronomic crops and grower profits. He helped lead the development of Peanut RX, an online calculator that helps southeastern peanut growers assess risks in the field. He is actively engaged in the development of site-specific applications of nematicides in cotton and is recognized for his efforts to control target spot in cotton, southern corn rust, Asian soybean rust, and aflatoxin. In addition to extension efforts in Georgia and the southern U.S., Kemmerite has been a leader in USAID-funded projects to improve peanut production among small-scale farmers in Guyana, Haiti, and the Philippines.
Well, back in September, Dr. Nick Place was named UGA's new Dean and Director of the College of Agricultural and Environmental Sciences. His appointment effective January 1st, while he continues to help with the transition of his current role as Dean and Director of Extension at the University of Florida. During a recent video call, Dr. Place and I discussed a wide range of topics, everything from his future plans at UGA to a certain event that takes place every November, one that has created a lot of heated discussions over the years.
If you think about UF's College of Ag and their amazing extension program that you led, what ingredients in that recipe might you hope to bring to UGA's College of Ag to elevate it beyond where it is now?
So that question is really good. I'm glad to answer that. I think there's a number of things, Ray, that I would say. One is work with stakeholders, and that is something that is very important to me. And getting out there and getting to know the various producers and legislators and families and consumers of the College of Agriculture and Environmental Sciences is very important. We need to know what their needs are, what kind of issues are they facing here around the state. And then our obligation as a land-grant university is to be doing the research that's necessary, educating students that can be the next set of leaders and movers and shakers out there in our state, as well as having a strong extension outreach program that can take the latest research out and educate people and make better problem solvers, better decision makers. Those kind of things are critically important. With that said, that connection of our three missions of research, extension, and teaching are so critically important to a land grant. And I like to think of it, Ray, as three circles, and then in the middle is that sweet spot. And the more that we can do to get in that sweet spot of those connections of the three mission areas, that's really what advances a land grant, and that's really what will advance our College of Agriculture and Environmental Sciences. And that's really what my eye is going to be focused on, is that sweet spot and how we move our college forward.
Let's look at things from a teaching standpoint as well, Dr. Place. I'm told you have a lot of passion when it comes to working with students. Do you have any plans for the College of Ag to enhance the experiential learning opportunities available to students?
Yeah, that is so important, Ray, and I appreciate you asking about that. And yeah, we want to do what we can to expand those experiential learning opportunities, because those connections with corporations and businesses and frankly with extension offices and research labs, that is very important to make sure that students are well-grounded in regards to where they are and what they need to do when they graduate. That also is something that we hear a lot from industry. The more that we can do to connect students with potential career opportunities and with industry, that strengthens those students. So we will be looking for ways that we could increase those opportunities, and that will take communications with various entities that will host students. We also want to look for ways to advance some scholarships and grants and contracts, those kind of things that can help support students getting out there and getting that real world experience. So that will be a major focus of something I want to work on as well.
And this might be the most important question of them all. Of course, you've been down to Florida a long time. Of course, there is this long time feud between UGA, Florida, something to do with a football game that takes place every year in Jacksonville. I can't remember off the top of my head. Yeah. Any idea next year in Jacksonville who you will be rooting for when the two clash together on the field? And be very careful how you answer this, because I'm told we have a lot of Bulldog fans that watch this show.
Yeah, well, actually, this one's easy for me. I love college football. It's my favorite sport of all times. And I am so happy to be coming to the University of Georgia, where we have an outstanding football team. And the Georgia Bulldogs will have my full support, no doubt, when it comes next November when we play down there in Jacksonville. So that's an easy question, Ray. I'm glad you asked.
And I'm sure you just gained a lot of fans as well who watch the show. So, Dr. Place, I cannot thank you enough for doing this today. I know you're busy. You got a lot of things on your plate. Thank you for doing this. Welcome to Georgia, and we look forward to working with you in the future.
Terrific. Thanks so much, Ray, for the opportunity, and go Dogs.
So far, I'd say he's off to a good start. Well, up next, the UGA theme continues from Tifton with a profile of the 2020 Young Farmer and Rancher Discussion Meet champion, Ashley Yop. Although not originally from Georgia, her ag background includes a very impressive title.
Hey everyone, Seth Hawkins, Community Forester with the Georgia Forestry Commission here. Welcome to another episode of our Ask the Arborist Tree Care video series. Today we're going to be talking about some basic backyard tree identification skills that you can use to make sure you know exactly what trees you have in your backyard. Different tree species have different requirements and different growth habitat requirements, and it's important for us to know exactly what trees we have in our backyard so we can make sure to provide everything that tree needs to thrive in its environment. So we're going to be talking about some basic defining characteristics such as leaf shape, leaf arrangement, bark characteristics, things like that. So we'll look at a few common backyard Georgia trees and talk about how we can make sure we know how to identify them. So here we have a tulip poplar. You'll also hear it called yellow poplar, tulip tree. The Latin name is Loriodendron tulipifera. That way you can always know exactly what species you're talking about with whomever you're talking about might use different common names. Some really just key defining characteristics of a tulip poplar are the leaf shape and leaf arrangement. So you can see this leaf almost shaped like a tulip flower, so hence the name tulip poplar. Also, later in the summer, you get these really big showy flowers that do look like big giant tulip flowers. Again, hence the name. But this leaf shape and arrangement and those flowers in the later summer are really key defining characteristics of a tulip poplar. Another key defining characteristic of a tulip poplar is this kind of braided bark that runs up and down the trunk. A younger tree is going to have a little bit smoother, lighter bark. As it starts to get older, it'll become more ridged and furrowed and a little darker in patches, and you'll start to get more striations in the colors up and down the trunk. But this braided, kind of ridged bark running down the trunk is another key defining characteristic of tulip poplar. So what we have here is a white oak, or the Latin name is Quercus alba. And white oaks are just an awesome native Georgia oak species. You'll find them all over the state. They typically in nature prefer more upland, drier sites. A little bit of a slower growing oak compared to some of the other oak species, but also one of the longest lived. Wonderful trees, drought resistant, pretty disease and bug tolerant. Again, just an awesome native Georgia oak species. You can tell white oak, it's pretty easy to identify by these rounded lobes and just these individual, just deep rounded lobes on all the leaves. It's a pretty quintessential looking oak leaf. The International Society of Arboriculture actually uses a white oak as its logo, a white oak leaf. So really the leaf shape is the big defining characteristic here. Also, you'll notice this really shaggy, kind of flaky bark on it. And as these trees get older, this will turn much more white, hence the name white oak. Another way you can identify oak species is using the acorns. Unfortunately, this time of year, we don't have a lot of acorns to pick from to show you. However, if you ever get stumped out in the field trying to identify an oak species and you can get a hold of some acorns, that's going to be your best bet to properly identify that tree. So what we have here is a flowering dogwood, or the Latin name Cornus florida. Another great native Georgia species, have beautiful showy flowers in the spring. For that reason, I like to refer to dogwoods as a crowd favorite tree. People just fall in love with those flowers in the spring. There's different colors on the different varieties of dogwoods, and they just make for really beautiful ornamental understory trees. You'll find them more in the woods in the understory, underneath the shade of existing trees, and ideally planted in your yard in the same situation, mimicking that natural environment, having the shade of overstory trees to protect them. Dogwoods just don't really love to be out in that full open sun. So when you're going to identify a dogwood, there's a couple things you can really look at that will help you make sure you're looking at the right thing. This leaf shape and texture is just kind of a giveaway once you know what you're looking for, but kind of getting more detailed, if you look at the veins on the leaf, you can kind of see how they curl back to that center vein towards the end of the leaf. And that's a pretty unique characteristic of dogwood and a pretty key defining characteristic for them. Another thing you can look for, depending on the time of year, is either going to be the flowers in the spring or these little droops that form in mid to late summer. So depending on the time of year you're looking at the tree, you'll have a different formation here. But again, you'll see these will turn really red in the fall and have that really distinct just dogwood look to them. And one other defining characteristic I always like to look at to identify dogwood is the bark texture. So you can see on here how it's just kind of platy and individual little segments and just kind of furrowed like that. So this really platy bark is a dead giveaway that this is a flowering dogwood. So those were just some of the more common tree species that you might encounter in your backyard or your community forest. There are a lot of other tree species, obviously native to Georgia, that we could learn to identify. Those are just some of the ones we wanted to make time for today. But if you want to learn to identify all the trees in your backyard, there are tons of resources online. Also, go to gatrees.org and check out what we have on our website, and we invite you to go to Ask the Arborist, where you can submit pictures of your trees and we'll help you to identify the species. So thanks for watching today, and we will see y'all in the next episode.
Finally this week, as we all know, discussion meets are meant to be face-to-face, not computer to computer. But due to COVID-19, this year's YF&R discussion meet, like the other competitions, was held virtually. Not ideal by any means, but given what Ashley Yomp does for a living, she feels it may have actually worked to her advantage.
I'm Assistant Professor of Agricultural Leadership, Education, and Communications at the University of Georgia, and I'm housed down here in South Georgia on the UGA Tifton campus, also known as the Coastal Experiment Station. I think the discussion meet is a fantastic way for young farmers and ranchers and folks who are really involved and passionate about agriculture to really flex their muscles and talk about issues that are facing rural Americans. And so during the discussion meet, I got to talk about different topics, even learn more about topics that I'm not as well versed in, and then have a great discussion with other folks who really care about rural America. And so I really believe it's a great place to facilitate conversations, spark new ideas, and move our industry and also create leadership in spaces for agriculture. So I'm a very proud North Carolinian, and I'm very proud of the role agricultural education has played in shaping my life. I don't come from a farming background. I'm one generation removed from the farm, but I was very lucky to take part in agricultural education as a high school student, and I had fantastic agriculture teachers who really shaped who I am, not only as a leader, but as an agriculturalist. They invested in me and invested time in me, and that had an amazing impact on who I am currently. It changed the trajectory of my life, and now I get the opportunity to prepare teachers to do those same sorts of things, and it's wonderful. This year has been transformational in terms of learning as a teacher, especially in rural Georgia where we lack broadband access in many spaces. So learning how to teach while also helping other teachers access technology in new ways and think about how to engage students in online spaces has really helped prepare me for the discussion meet, because I mean every day I'm talking to my students online in some way, shape, or form, thinking about how we engage in discussion, how do we keep attention, interest, and keep folks motivated online when it's kind of like our day-to-day new normal, as people say. So this year has been a challenge, but in terms of discussion meet, especially because it's in that online format, I think it really helped me prepare to have discussions in that space where we're not necessarily face-to-face anymore. We can't really pick up on a lot of things that we usually would in a classroom, but I really think that maybe it has provided me a little bit of help and support in understanding the discussion meet.
Ashley, thank you so much. Randolph, thank you so much. And thank you for making the show possible.
Take care, everybody. We'll see you next time right here on the Farm Monitor. Have a great week.